George, good morning. Hey, I was wondering if you'd heard from Tony. He got us tickets for Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 2. He got the midnight showing at the Grove. That's West L.A., very far from our house on Saturday night. Didn't we ask him to get us something that would fit in with a family lifestyle? Anyways, I'm not sure if we're locked into this or not. He also delivered the copy of Infinity Gauntlet to me. Hoping you knew that wasn't in mint condition. He brought it to me in a Ziploc. I don't know if that's how you sent it to him or not. But he looked definitely like maybe something happened. Anyways, that's all I got. Looking forward to talking about the next movie. Bye-bye.
Busy daddies to Sci-Fi. Busy daddies to Sci-Fi. Busy daddies to Sci-Fi. Busy daddies to Sci-Fi.
Good morning.
Yes, I'm George.
I'm Kevin.
Are
you not going to give them a good evening?
Good evening. Oh, do I usually do that?
One of us
Is that a
does
thing?
one. One's the sunlight.
You know what? I'm not going to do it.
One's the moonlight.
I'm not going to do it today.
You're not?
No.
What about the people who are listening at night?
Where is Tony, man? He was here till like 10 minutes ago.
Is that him?
Is that
you hear that car? I told him to go out
You know
and
what's
get
weird?
the
Since
seltzer.
you mentioned that, almost every time he's around, I hear a car alarm. Who still has a car alarm on their car?
And who doesn't know how to turn it off when they enter their vehicle?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I got to put it on the head so that it's better transceiver.
Yeah.
Welcome to Bardian's Defending Deluxe Systems of Frontios.
Frontios. That's the farthest reaches.
That's way out
the
there.
Vanuva system or
Way out
something
there.
like that, man.
That's where we live.
Mm-hmm. When we're not getting pulled by gravity. We're total. That's a total. Yeah. Hey, email us if you know what we just talked about.
I wasn't looking forward to this one, to tell you the truth.
This episode.
Yeah,
the whole episode.
The whole episode. Yeah.
Are you not happy with the style of ice cream I bought?
No, I love this. It's got 5 different flavors in it.
Something
I'm through the roof right now.
I don't know.
Hazelnut, truffle, pistachio, almond.
I think it was a ruse. I think it was chocolate ice cream.
You know, you keep bringing that, and part of this whole deal is we're supposed to be getting seltzer and ice cream, but whatever.
Ice cream's on me. There is not seltzer here.
No, there's
Did Vic
not.
not like the Guardians episode? I haven't talked to him.
I haven't talked to him either. He's having one of those quiet weeks. You know?
Yeah, well.
Where we just let him stew, and then, I don't know.
Maybe there'll be a flavored seltzer water next week.
I'm anticipating a Post-it note on my door tomorrow morning. Mm-hmm. That just is the drawing, the usual thing he does, the drawing of the thumbs up or the thumbs down.
Did Tony come up with the word Bardians?
Yeah, Bardians.
Is he playing on Bard?
I'm assuming, well, no, it's not
he
spelled
spelled
that way. So, I don't know if
He's
Tony
really
knows
scratching that out on those sticky notes.
What Bard is.
Guardians
exactly.
Defending Deluxe Systems of Frontios.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
We're busy daddies do sci-fi. I almost said daddies there.
Don't
piss
off the people of
Don't
Reddit.
piss off the people of Reddit.
We lost that sponsorship, didn't we?
You guys, the Reddit sponsorship?
That vaporized.
Good riddance. Mm-hmm. Good riddance. We don't need those 18 to 34-year-olds. What demographic? Who does need that demographic?
I don't know.
Anyway.
Someone. They sure weren't sitting in Guardians of the Galaxy with me and my old ass.
No, they weren't, were they?
There was children and fat cartoon people, or comic book people in there.
Some of those
strangely
fat cartoon
touchy.
People, some of those fat cartoon people probably fell in the 18 to 34 range. Or right after
No, they were older.
Like 42, 43?
Yeah, remember there were some of them. Luckily, none of them were one of the handicap's assistant. Awkward.
Oh my gosh,
Awkward.
That was really weird. So we asked Tony get us tickets to see Guardians of the Galaxy.
We're busy, obviously.
We're busy. He gets us tickets midnight. at the Grove.
Not like I got a job or anything in the morning.
The Grove is in West
2
LA.
hour, 18-minute movie with 10 previews.
Grove is in... All right, let's step back for a second. It was 35 minutes before my movie started. 35.
Yeah. It was amazed.
Yeah,
Man. It was amazed.
I was absolutely amazed. There was a preview for every single movie that is coming out
I
in
love
the next
the Valerian
5
preview.
years. The Valerian preview is great.
But so anyways, Tony sets us up with these tickets.
Midnight at the Grove in West LA. We live in Highland Park.
And Tony's not a large man, but somehow I think he appreciates legroom.
Yeah.
Because he put us in the handicap assistant seats. You know, when there's 15 feet of runway at the tier. And we awkwardly waited for someone to roll in.
And it
With
happened.
their assistant. I mean, maybe you have to... you're pre-buying them, but...
Oh, you got to give that up. That's part of the whole deal. When you buy those tickets, you check a little box that says, if somebody asks you to give this seat up, you have to
Tony
surrender
would have
it.
maybe texted us about that?
His heart was certainly in the right place. Okay? Yeah. I just have a serious question about where his
Tony's 5'2", and he's thinking about leg room.
Thinking about leg room for us. You know. Oh, when you said large man, you meant not tall. Because he's not small either. You know? Anyway.
No.
All right. But enough about that. Where the hell did he go? He was all right. Anyway, so well, man, you know, last week left a bad taste in my mouth. That Guardians of the Galaxy podcast, the first one.
Our first one.
A little bit.
What happened there?
Well, I wasn't really satisfied with my segue into Guardians of the Galaxy, so I got a brand new one. Yeah.
Didn't I steal your segue?
Kevin?
And then, yes.
Have you ever heard of the Galaxy before?
No. Clearly it was Kevin. Have you ever barded anything?
You ever done any barding of defense of Lux? Anyway, we saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Volume 2. That's a comic kind of way to say it.
Sequel. When I was leaving this theater, you were cleaning up the Whoppers and popcorn that you'd spilled.
Yeah. Good thing they refill the large.
There was a gentleman.
Because you knocked it over with about 2 handfuls.
I get very excited.
Yeah.
All right. When the Watchers show up in a movie.
That was cool.
I get really excited. Cool. As I'm leaving this theater, there is a gentleman being wheeled out in a wheelchair. And he says, yeah, it was a lot like the first one. I really feel like they're just trying to get these done a little too quickly. That's what he says to the guy who's pushing him out. Mm-hmm. There would normally be a part of me that a wall would shoot up, and I would get all nerd ragey and be like, "That guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, man."
But since you stole his assistant's seat, you did not retaliate.
Since I had spent that entire time sitting comfortably while his assistant was across the theater, and I'm sure the guy couldn't even take a sip out of his water. I found myself going, "I think that guy's right."
Can you restate what that guy
said? He said, that was a lot like the first movie, and I feel like they're just trying to get these out now. They're not really taking their time.
You mean Marvel?
Yeah.
Well, I've been onto that for a long time, George. Somehow you've been taking the ride with these guys.
Kevin, we're not all as enlightened as you are.
No, that's detached.
Detached. Sorry,
yes.
Different.
Detached.
That's right. You have no bias because your life hasn't been filled with.
You know what Marvel? You know what Marvel comic movies are?
What are they?
They're billboards over and over again on my commute.
Yeah.
You've did it again. You've did it again. You've done it again. Yeah. And so, I mean, I see your point. You guys must be in real conflict, inner conflict.
Well, no, because not a lot of people agree with me on this. Now, here.
Oh, because they're all like, "Yeah, bring it, man."
Let me step back a second here. Okay.
I gotta go put my hockey shirt on.
I really liked Guardians of the Galaxy, the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Liked it a lot. I came out of this movie, and for the first time in seeing a Marvel Comics movie, I had to separate myself into 2 different levels of moviegoer: the comic book movie fan and the movie fan. And the comic book movie fan loved this movie, and then the movie fan found a lot of things really lacking and kind of hokey, and just sort of really reminded him of the first movie. Very similar emotional beats, very similar, like that moment that you talked about last podcast when you're like, all right, well, we know everybody's going to win here. So what's left now? You know, I found that moment again when everyone's being torn down.
And what point was that for you in Guardians 2? Hey, by the way, folks, clearly we're going to totally spoil Guardians of the Galaxy. We're going to spoil the Infinity Gauntlet, which will inform the Infinity Wars, right, George?
Yes.
Or is the wars lead up?
Avengers movies, Avengers Infinity War, in which the Avengers, Spider-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, most of the characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe are going to come together for these movies.
To fight Thanos?
To fight Thanos.
Hail Thanos.
Hail Thanos.
Hail Thanos.
Yeah.
So we're going to spoil this. So stop, go watch this stuff, and then come back. We can refer you to riveting. The episode about Hard to Be a God. You're never going to watch that.
Oh, no.
So you might as well just listen to it.
Pause this. Go listen to Hard to Be a God. Get yourself a ticket to a midnight showing of Guardians of the Galaxy.
In a handicapped assistance.
There will still be like 47-year-olds in that movie, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then come on back and give this a listen. All right. So at 9:30, pause.
I was bringing this up about kids, and a guy was like, "Dude, I went and saw." Guy I work was like, "I went and saw Logan, and I watched a kid, probably about your son's age, 6 or so, watch a knife go through someone's armpit and stab into the dude's neck." And I was like, "Oh, that happened?" He's like, "Yeah. Can't unring that bell."
That's done.
Yeah,
that is done. Logan is rated R, and apparently for very good reason too.
Well,
hyper-violent.
Hyper-violent.
Yeah. So
Movie George and
Comic George. Comic George was marveling. Oh, nice.
Well, that's more reminiscent of a segue that George usually brings to the plate.
Marveling at everything that they managed to pack into this movie on a comic book level. Let's see. We get introduced to the Watchers. We get introduced to Sakaar in a previous version of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Stallone plays.
Yes.
Okay. We get introduced to the Sovereigns. We get introduced to the Adam Warlock. We see the friggin'
the
chamber him that will eventually
baby
birth
chamber
him.
thing. Yes.
Was
that Paris Hilton playing the silver?
It was not.
Gold people. Doesn't she look like? Didn't that? Yeah.
I was trying to figure out who it was the entire movie, and then I saw it. It's like no one I recognized really, but she looked very familiar.
Okay.
I liked that race.
So
I thought it was simple.
Yes. So
all right.
As you list this off, it's triggering why I think it had deeper roots for me.
Okay.
As someone who doesn't know all these references.
All right, interesting.
But keep going. So the Sovereign, Adam Warlock. So you're at the end of the movie. Adam Warlock's the last.
Adam Warlock's like the last reference in there, right?
Yeah.
Stan Lee, like that. That was a great scene with the Watchers talking to Stan Lee.
Yeah.
As Stan Lee is explaining all the cameos he's had in other Marvel movies, he's like, "And that time I was a FedEx, delivery guy."
Mm-hmm. Of course, the Watchers would know this.
And the Watchers would. How is it that you know who the Watchers are?
The Watchers
from Infinity Gauntlet? Okay, that's
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome, man.
Ego's a Celestial,
you're on
too.
board. Yes, he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So...
Or the fact, like, you see Ego's planet form, like the face on the world and everything.
Yeah.
The fact that they're talking about Celestials is so commonplace, stuff like that. Really, really cool comic book stuff, and I was into it. I love these characters. And then Movie George...
Well, hold on, Movie George.
Yes. All right, so I'm still Comic George right now.
Science fiction reader Kev was trying to get his head around how you might put a large 500-page story into a movie.
Okay.
And as you listed that, I just realized that in a distilled way, you kind of just nailed off the average range of factions, species, systems that might be in a large place.
Right, yeah.
And that is kind of what I'm used to reading, especially in the places. I've finished Redemption Arc by Alistair Reynolds, and I'm waiting for Absolution Gap. And these are cool, man. These are cool.
Title, Absolution Gap.
Still, nostalgia for Infinity. P.S. Just one of the greatest spaceship names ever. But it's these large elements that have enough going on in them that you're okay with it.
Yeah.
Stallone and Rondu?
Yondu.
Yondu. Their backstory, I mean, that had enough traction. And it made it telescope deep. Right?
Yeah.
It made things...
So you mean for at the end.
Right.
You know,
but so
things.
It had those elements where you just kind of know that about that certain character, and then that makes them play. I keep making my hands fly. I'm still showing spaceships travel light. Yes, they're going to different places here. You can't see that, listener.
No, because this is a visual medium. I mean, no, it's not a visual medium. George, you are off your game tonight. If only I had some seltzer.
I feel strangely parched with flat water.
Very dry.
Movie George.
Yes.
How does Movie George feel tonight? Movie George is fucking great.
Movie George got cynical, man.
Movie George got cynical?
Movie George.
No.
Movie George went. They took everything that worked about the last movie, and they turned it up. So now everybody's funny. Everybody's trying to out one line the other person. There's a line in the first movie when Chris Pratt, when Star-Lord and Rocket Raccoon are talking back and forth, and Rocket laughs, and Chris Pratt goes, "That's a fake laugh." And I almost felt like every laugh in this movie from a different character was a fake laugh. It was just like a ha 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 ha, and almost to the point where I was waiting for somebody to call them on it. And there's a lot of things were just so heavy-handed. And wait, hold on. Like the whole Yondu and Star-Lord thing, it got to the point where I didn't need a line of dialogue like, "He might have been your father, but he was never your daddy," or like, it's so clear what's going on.
Is that not a line in a comic book?
No, not at all.
These are the things I don't know. No. So I think Comic George is going, of course these guys go back and forth like that. I feel like there's an level
Yondu and Peter Quill don't have this relationship in the comic books. Like, these are inventions for the movie, you know.
So what the fuck is Marvel doing anyways then? See, that's what's fucking nuts to me.
No, these are not.
I feel like
these
you guys
are
are
adaptations, man. Like, these
that's
are not,
what I feel like there's like stories that are written, so I'm always like, why are you so surprised? Comic book George.
No, Ego is not Peter Quill's father in the comics.
Who? He's not.
No. This douchebag named Star Fox is, whose power is to, like, seduce people.
What?
Ego doesn't have like a doesn't.
Isn't there massive nerd rage because of that? How come comics aren't being burned in the streets?
I think there is probably a lot. I think it's silenced by the fact that Marvel has a lot of goodwill when it comes to telling good stories. So a lot of people kind of go, "Yeah, I don't care. Keep telling good stories. You know, like, keep telling good stories." There's this whole thing of like, it's like, you know, all like. All right,
non-comic book Kev thinks that sucks for comic book George.
All right,
that's a horrible place to live in, man.
Yeah, you get.
Fuck this. Why are we talking about this book, the Infinity Gauntlet? Hey, Marvel, you want to make these guys wear pink?
Well,
now it's the Infinity.
They're going to adapt it loosely. Like, these things are loosely, like, the elements are there. The elements are all present.
I'm disappointed. Okay. Grand scheme. All these Marvel movies, lump them all together.
Put them all in a pot.
Stick them. Take a percentage. What percentage of the stories told are adaptations versus...
Oh, man. It's a tough question, man. You're talking about characters that have 60 years of stories that have been rebooted, retold. Like, where there's inconsistencies in their origins.
You see me glazing over
here? Glazing right over there,
I need an answer.
All right.
I don't need whatever the hell that was.
I'm going to generously say... 15%
is adaptation.
Okay. And the rest is just like, let's take this because this works. You know, let's do this because this works. Like, the true stuff is there. The true stuff. You take the Captain America
Is Ego
movies,
a real Celestial?
Yes. Totally.
Why did they make him Star-Lord's dad?
Because it makes somewhat sense for the story that he could hold the Infinity Stone that long. They've changed up the Infinity Stones, too.
That's bullshit. I'm glad I watched this as a movie. I felt like I watched the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 as a guest in the comic world.
Okay. Meaning
was fun.
What? Like you just
it
like,
was
I don't know
fun.
what's
I
going
knew there
on
was
here.
characters. I had that experience where like, yeah, now they're fighting. Okay, cool. I like watching what these guys are doing, and I had a fun time. And I look forward to the
But
second
you felt
one.
removed. Like you didn't feel
Well, like maybe I'd know stuff more. Sounds like Marvel's doing whatever the hell they want, so I don't need to know shit.
you make your own movie universe.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna have Thanos tap dancing across the stage.
The Bardians, the
Bardians.
Systems of Frontiers, man.
Go. I loved that the end credit sequence with Stallone and the other old Guardians of the Galaxy, and he just cocks his gun and goes, "Let's steal some shit."
Yeah,
That was great.
Movie for me, I was going to say movie Kev, but he's just Kev.
He's just Kevin.
He's just
That's
Kev.
Cool.
I felt that I was in a movie for Volume 2 and not a guest in a comic world.
All right.
Probably because of lines like Daddy and perhaps the fabricated relationship between Yondu?
Yondu.
It's a Y.
Yondu. It's a Y.
With
But
Yondu.
just because it's fabricated, I don't think makes it lesser than.
Well, but
you
I'm
know?
saying,
Like,
at least I don't have to know that these assholes rewrote the comics I love.
It doesn't matter though, because if they're telling good stories, that's what matters.
So, anyways, it was much cooler.
Yeah.
I teared up. It made me
Where did you tear
feel
up?
good. Like in the end, when they wound
the
it all up, like a
fireworks,
couple
yeah.
times. I think that everyone kind of got their moment of this is where we're at, and this is who we are, and that's who you are to me, and they made it. It was cool just to see them kind of get out. I believe it was a harder challenge and a well-earned victory this time.
That's pretty rich. Yeah.
And so, therefore, more complex.
Yeah.
Which made me feel more movie and story-like than Guest of Comic World. You know, when we're watching that first one, I'm like, well, Ronan needs the stone. Oh, Ronan's got the stone.
I was disappointed that there
Ronan
was.
got beat. You know, it's like, cool.
Yeah.
So what?
I was disappointed. I did not think that we were going to be completely absent a continuation of the Thanos storyline. Like, I kind of wanted something in there.
He's coming.
from that. Yeah, he's coming, but like, and we had Nebula, and she's fantastic.
Yep.
Drax,
that's cool.
Drax is fantastic. He's amazing in this movie. Like, I don't know what it was, if they had Dave Bautista who plays Drax, like if he got some acting lesson. It just worked so much more for me. His humor was so much more consistent and so much more. His little reactions are great. I love the scene when he decides to get the last spaceship. He's going to strap on the cord and just jump out of the spaceship and hang out at the back of it. Oh, he's got great stuff. Really cool stuff. All the space fights are great. And then I think there was a point where Gamora is sitting on Ego's planet. She's like sitting in the desert, and I kind of realized, all right, this is what we're doing. We're just hanging out on Ego's planet, and it kind of bugged me. You know, I was just sort of like this.
So first of all, when you have a godlike creature named Ego,
Yeah.
I pretty much knew that it was going to tip. By the time Gamora is getting hunches, I've already like pre-hunched.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well, yeah,
we can't lace this up.
it's that
right
same
here.
moment. It's that same thing where you're like, this is clearly not all going to be puppy dogs and sunshine. You know, at some point something here is going to happen. I thought,
And even you Marvel fans didn't know it was coming because they clearly made this up from what you guys had read.
bullshit. But the interaction, the entire subplot, I thought the subplots in this movie were way better than the actual plot. Like, I was more interested in Gamora and Nebula, and I was more interested in Yondu, Baby Groot, and Rocket being kidnapped by the Ravagers than I was, like, Peter on...
Does that happen?
You gotta stop reaching for this, man. That's not
doesn't.
15%,
bro.
It's not at all. Like that, I don't think those three characters have ever been together in the comic books. Like,
so I guess the one way to reimagine it is if the movie Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 came out in comics,
yes,
they'd be real. So maybe Marvel is painting with a camera the stories that will be read by writers who are like, let's just do more stuff with these guys.
Yeah, and this is all fluid. This will go through comic books and comic book movies go through iterations of themselves. Guardians of the Galaxy,
I don't like
10 years from now are going to be completely different than what they are now in comic books.
Shouldn't Marvel stop? Won't they say, you know what, we've entertained for long enough and we've made enough money, we're going to stop now?
No. Why would they do that?
Just leave on a high note.
This is not a high note right now.
Really? Who said comic book George or movie George?
Comic book movie wise, this is a high note. But as far as comic books go right now, there's not a high note. Marvel comics right now are shit.
No, that's because they're making movie comics.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Movie comics.
Do you know what's funny? Is the moment that they put out a movie, all the characters in their comic books very slowly over the course of a couple months start to look just like the actors that are playing them in the movies.
That's like that weird Disney
They
effect.
go back and they start to go, oh, you know what? We should make Hawkeye's uniform look like that because that looks cooler. And now kids are going to go,
there's some poor art. Yeah, and there he is in my Big Mac.
And meanwhile, John Romita Sr. is at home, like just going crying into his comic books.
John Romita Sr. is that Cuba Gooding Jr.'s father?
Wouldn't Cuba Gooding Jr.'s father be Cuba Gooding?
No.
Why not?
I don't know, man.
John Romita, he's a Marvel Comics artist. He did a lot of... Well, Jack Kirby is sort of like the pinnacle of Marvel Comics artists. He's responsible for a lot of the creations. So is Steve Ditko.
All right, all right. You know, we like to outline the show a little bit before we get into this because
yes, we do.
We found that some of our improv is
lacking.
Just say the reviews were, Anyways, we wondered if Rocket didn't steal anything, would we ever find out that Ego was Homeboy's dad, and what puts these things into motion? And I guess it doesn't matter now because Marvel can do anything they fucking want.
So,
and who cares?
Rocket steals batteries.
End of episode.
Just cuz.
Oh, good night.
Right?
Right.
Just cuz. Steals some batteries.
Mm-hmm.
Leads to sovereign ships.
Because he doesn't like them. He thinks they're idiots.
And those batteries are worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know? Leads to sovereign ships coming after them. Leads to Ego saving the day and blowing up all their sovereign ships. It leads them to crash landing, getting with Ego, going back to his planet. Sovereign's still after them. Rocket has bomb.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Rocket stealing that shit. That's fate. He was meant to do that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Didn't it seem a lot cooler in the outline?
No, that was cool as hell.
Oh, that was cool?
Yeah.
No, that was in the description of the plot.
No, it wasn't. That was me relating the plot to fate.
We've once asked you, listener, if perhaps Chris Pratt on Passenger. Yeah, this is Passengers Redux. Yeah. Passengers Volume 2.
Frontios.
You know, I just imagine, it's just looking at the Empire State Building with a cup of coffee.
Yeah. Oh, I
Marvel
better get that Chrysler building
Marvel
for her.
wrote that line, too. Yeah.
Oh, you little stalker, you made that Chrysler building for me. And look at there, a cup of coffee. Now
this
I can
is
do
amazing.
some
It's
writing.
like you're reading my mind.
Holy shit. You were clearly made for me. No, that's the robot that's getting us drunk. Mm-hmm. He was made for us. That is a Passengers reference. If you've not seen the movie Passengers, I envy you. And then we got Rocket being Rocket, doing funny stuff. Mantis, the girl who can, the empath.
Yeah, she was cool.
She was cool. It was so.
She's a guardian.
She's a guardian.
A real guardian. Yeah,
she's a real guardian. All right, relax. It's okay. These things change, man.
I am.
Are you somehow amazed that I don't have a problem with this, or
I'm amazed that Marvel's doing this to you guys. You poor shut-ins. All you have are the gospels of these graphic novels, and then
Kevin,
they just go and
blasphemy. Before Iron Man came out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
you
go even further back.
Dark place.
Before X-Men, the first X-Men movie came out in 2001. Okay, we were relegated to the Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie, David Hasselhoff playing Nick Fury in a TV movie. The 1970s Spider-Man show with Nick Hammond, who was in Gone with the Wind.
So Marvel has done great things for your people.
The gift that keeps on giving. Hey, David Hasselhoff was in this movie.
Oh, that was amazing.
That was great.
I didn't really care.
Yeah, it was a cool little cameo.
Baby Groot, cute, but I don't need him.
I don't know. Like, he didn't add anything by being Baby Groot.
Just
other than
funny stuff.
Funny stuff.
That's for when you bring your 4-year-old. He's there for that, in between the stabbing and the violence and the
But I mean, that's the thing.
Bad
even Baby Groot is straight up murdering people. You know, like, it's yeah. What do you think of the music this time around? Because you had a problem with it being too on the nose last time.
Yeah. How many songs do you think he really has? He has 2 mixtapes?
He's got 2 mixtapes, and then they give him a Zune at the end, so he's got like 300.
But that's it doesn't make sense to me so much. I think they'd be really fucking bored of those songs.
Yeah, well, if that's all he knows, though, like if that's all he knows is all he knows of Earth technology.
I think he would have moved on. Yeah. I wouldn't be jamming them all the time. They wouldn't be the soundtrack to my movies.
Yeah. Like he'd be like, Drax would be like, "Can you fucking believe he's playing?"
Yeah.
ABC 1, 2, 3 again.
But they're family.
They're family, man.
And that worked. It worked.
It did. And I gotta tell you, the ending of this movie was pretty emotional. I think it was so telegraphed. This is big spoiler coming up here.
Telegraphed.
Yes.
Did it? That?
Yeah.
Meaning
sure,
what?
That.
When you say is it?
When I say it's telegraphed,
pejorative?
It's obvious that this is going to happen. You're being hit with it. Okay.
Because I don't know about you, but I wouldn't be able to tell you something if you telegraphed it to me. It would not be obvious.
Okay. I'm using a very common.
Hold on. Let me just telegraph my response to you.
Kevin.
Did you get that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool.
All right, and that's really inappropriate. Okay? I thought Yondu's death was so telegraphed almost to the point where it was like I was waiting for them to not actually do it. You know, it was like him turning to Rocket and saying, "Just give me this, I gotta save him." And then him actually getting him, saving him, and then they fade to black and it's open in his body. I thought that at some point they were just he was not going to be dead because it was just so...
I thought they were going to somehow pull it off. So I thought you guys were going to write me a fucking nice movie, and someone dies. The writers of The Wire talked about how the gods of The Wire were going to kill people you liked. And I thought that was a move bigger than that. For me, in this microcosm of fabricated, never happened in the comic books, Marvel fucking shit we're talking about.
Yeah.
So they write stuff into a movie that works. Yeah. They kill someone I like.
Yeah, it didn't work for me.
I can tell.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Are you getting that?
Yeah.
You getting that, listener?
Yeah.
Oh man, look at the levels on that one. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
it's gonna give someone
don't swerve off the road when that one hits you on your headphones driving to wherever you drive.
Thankfully, we just lost the epileptic audience too,
and the handicap,
too.
We're on a roll.
Oh well. Oh jeez.
What?
Come on, man. There's no way that wasn't intentional. So we Kevin, you read in preparation for the forthcoming movies. You read the Infinity Gauntlet,
which happens after the movies, by the way.
Which happens after.
I was just hoping to see. You know what? First of all,
you hoping
I thought
to
the Guardians.
see
I thought the Guardians were gonna. No.
Okay.
I thought the Guardians would be an Infinity Gauntlet.
No,
they're not.
No, it's before their time.
Boring. Well, it's Nebula's in it. So Nebula's in it though.
Before
that's
the
cool.
current Guardians time. The Guardians were around before Infinity Gauntlet, but they took a different form.
I checked out the book from the '80s. The Guardians, man, where there's a big muscly dude who looks like Punisher, and then Yondu's in it, and then a flame-headed chick, and that was boring.
Yeah, they weren't great.
Boring.
They were never really popular.
What do you got? Yeah. I guess you guys are lucky that they started making the movies.
Yeah.
Or George is lucky.
Movie
George
is
fucking
so
enraged.
Pissed off, man.
He's out there with the comic guys who are burning comics.
Movie George just wants everything to be like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies.
What does that mean?
It means quality fucking movies that happen to be about comic books.
I think this movie was. Except I can't.
This was a comic book movie. I mean, and not in a disparaging way, in a like straightforward like this is what this was. This was not like an epic storytelling. This wasn't Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was a comic book movie.
I don't know. It kind of reminded me more of the larger science fiction I read.
Did it?
Whole fleets chasing down people. The celestial, the grand scheme of like ego and stuff, and powers that large are kind of in the Alistair Reynolds space right now. So I think I was feeling some identification with that. But Infinity Gauntlet, we're leaping right off, folks, into a graphic novel. We can rehash the old sci-fi comic debate. What I felt when I came away from watching or reading the Infinity Gauntlet was that though sci-fi, though there were large celestial powers, it's almost like fantasy. It doesn't really matter. I mean, just because there's cosmos, I mean, it's not so sci-fi. And there's all these people that are more like superheroes, but like fantasy people, like Elric with like swords and shit and links to a past that empowers them and maybe a little shady, and then they all come in and kind of crush this bad guy Thanos, who has found a gauntlet to put stones in, which is pretty fantasy to me too.
True. Yeah, and it's
a
all
playground for superheroes,
and it's all rather than having kind of typical sci-fi elements, all the characters end up with kind of typical comic book elements. Like, they're all overly colorful. They're all wearing what look like comic book uniforms rather than
like the muscly thing. Thanos is kind of funny looking, I think. He's got like the giant Hulk legs.
Thanos is probably one of the guys who I think looks a little bit more sci-fi than the rest. Like, I mean, Adam Warlock, like, why is he wearing a cape? Like, what?
Doctor Doom's pretty sci-fi looking, but that's because it's all bullshit. This is robotic crap.
Yeah. See that's Star Fox. That's Peter Quill's dad.
Which one's Star Fox?
Right, with the pointy hair.
That guy right there? No, that's a chick. Sorry, folks.
It's all right. Yeah, we got.
Hey,
he lost.
Whoa, wow!
He lost us looking at a book.
Yeah, it's not a visual medium.
Well, you know
man.
what? Hey, sometimes that's what we do. All right. If you don't like it, why don't you go pick a book off your shelf and look at it as well? We could read together. Okay.
But I thought Thanos is in love with death.
I think that's a cool little conceit for his character.
Yeah, all for the love of death. But that kind of made him. I mean, stupid. Like, he did not learn. He kept just trying to do stuff to get her love, and I don't. When do you get that when it's not a comic book? I mean, it's like okay in a comic. This was a little thick for me. I've read other graphic novels and stuff. I'd say in the last 2 or 3 months, I've read like the real ones with like Captain America or the Hulk, and they're like a little just kind of. I don't know. I mean, I think it's before the time when shit got real gritty or something. So it's like, oh, you beat me, and then
now I'm gonna lick my wounds and come back and get you next time. See, comic books for me, and I have no problem saying this. They're always going to be inherently a little silly. That doesn't mean I don't love them, but there's silliness to comic books. It's good guys and it's bad guys and it's fighting. It's like a higher level of professional wrestling.
And that's why I think not coming from the roots of it, comic to me is like a Watchmen and then a V for Vendetta, and then I can even mouse it. I remember, Wolverine was attractive to me when I was a kid, but I was also reading Constantine and Hellblazer.
Okay.
And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Radioactive Mutant Hamsters. Isn't that the ones that were?
Yeah, the ones that, he's been aware.
And,
so yeah,
and Wolverine's like lighting a stogie.
Yeah.
That's almost kind of there's a dark side.
Yeah,
right?
that was Marvel was kind of riding a border with that one too, because he was so popular, he was attracting really good writers too. I mean, Wolverine's first issues were written by Frank Miller, who did Sin City and everything, and he's just one of those characters whose popularity has sort of transcended the character, so you can do a ton of different things with that guy. Hence, things like, let's tell the story of him when he's an old man near death, completely out of continuity, where you get Logan. But those comics that you mentioned, Hellblazer, maybe even if you're in that vein, like Swamp Thing, those were vastly different than the mainstream comic books. Like, there's always this distinction with comic book fans amongst, like, oh, what comics do you read? And people are like, oh, I read Ghost World, Jimmy Neutron, obviously Scott Pilgrim, I've read Watchmen, and I've read, and it's like, okay, well, do you read any superhero comics?
Yeah.
Like, there's that
What am I, gay, dude?
Right.
What am I, gay, bro?
Because comics do have this thing where it's like, comics are cool now. Really, graphic novels are cool now. Like graphic novels, like the bigger ones that people V for Vendetta, the ones that like have been embraced by mainstream, like pop culture and everything. And for good reason. Those are the ones that changed the medium. But where's
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen in that one?
Definitely up there. Like, not terribly obscure, but like it wouldn't be considered a superhero comic. Superhero comics are generally Marvel, DC, maybe toss in a little bit of Image.
What's up with DC, man? Are they just total losers? What's going on with them? They just got nothing.
Man. They got nothing really. Well, I mean, they got Superman, they got Batman, they got Aquaman. They've got all the iconic characters, and they were the first to do it. Like Superman is the first superhero, but their movies are kind of just crap right now. But that's a different story.
So this is a science fiction podcast, George. We talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What's going on tonight?
Well, my back hurts a little bit.
Not that!
No. Oh, I thought we were talking about each other.
Yeah, there's a little bit of flare up. Yeah.
We're talking about comic books, and I think I'm kind of over the are they science fiction or are they not? Because it doesn't really fucking matter.
Yeah. Well, so there was a point where I thought maybe we shouldn't do this episode.
Yeah.
I was like, why are we going to go watch Guardians of the Galaxy and talk about the same crap?
Yeah. You thought we would be having a very similar conversation to last episode. And after seeing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, that was my fear as well. It was like, we really can't just go talk about this movie because a lot of me feels like it's the same fucking movie.
And that I don't get. I honestly just don't get that.
It's the feeling that it gave me. It was just like, okay, there's Drax and he's sinking in the sand, and it just.
But it completely wasn't. I mean, those guys like all in a group got in trouble and fell out of a spaceship, and Groot saved them. Like, as a matter of fact, it didn't.
Yeah, but it was the moment. It was like the moment, and then it was like, okay, now Peter's going to do something that changes all of this, And he does, and it's to music, and that beat was it completely.
Well, I think the music is a fault of this. I think the music anchors it in this weird space.
I thought they were trying to do a little too much with the music this time. Like the whole ending with to the Cat Stevens song, Father and Son. Like
that's why I cried. Probably it's just Cat Stevens makes people cry,
man.
They're like, hey, Dad, can I have the car keys? Fuck.
That song would have worked so well when him and Kurt Russell are having the catch with the fucking ball of energy.
Yeah.
That was great, and that was played for laughs, and it was fantastic. It was a really good scene. But by the time we get to there, like, I felt like the whole Yondu is really my dad thing was kind of forced into a hole that it just didn't fit in.
Was it not true?
What do you mean by true?
You didn't like how it was delivered, but wasn't it true?
I didn't get that feeling. I didn't get that feeling.
You didn't know that the guy who told him he would... You didn't know that Yondu was more of a father to him than Ego was?
Of course no. Because we were told that. I never felt that. No.
You don't believe it.
He
You
doesn't
don't
even
take
know
that for what it is.
He doesn't even know Yondu is part of everything that's going on until the last 20 minutes of the movie. He gets in the spaceship and he looks over. He's like, Yondu, what are you doing here? And I didn't get any of that feeling really from the last movie either.
All it took was a simple thing. That guy was... I was just telling you to protect that. You always thought you were the skinny kid.
Yeah.
What did they need, a 15-minute breakout? That worked. That all made sense to me.
Didn't feel it. I felt like I was told.
Well, you're dead inside. It's different.
Yeah.
It's different.
I feel it.
I'm sorry, not dead inside. You have a backache. It's a backache.
That's backache tonight.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of on edge the whole movie, wondering if someone was going to ask us to move. It really
that really
maybe
did
that's why we
spin me
both missed
around,
spots
man,
and different. Yeah. Do you know, folks? Tony will let us know if you email us. I think. Have we been getting? We've been getting some emails. Yeah. You could email us at bddsci-fi@gmail.com.
Or you can follow us on Instagram at bddsci-fi. Follow us on Twitter too at bddsci-fi. I don't really.
You do tweeting?
I don't really do Twitter. I gave it to Tony to do.
Tony.
So now it's all this.
Tony.
It's just.
Yeah.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan fiction that he writes. The drawings are really good.
Oddly enough.
No.
Considering his penmanship?
Terrible, man.
Well,
you see those
we're stuck with him, apparently.
Well.
What else we got? What are we going to do in the future, man? What's happening?
I don't know. Marvel better come out with some more movies.
Wait, okay, so they're coming out too fast for you? Or not too fast for you?
Oh, there's like 2 every year.
So what was that guy? That guy at the beginning, after the end of the movie.
I think he's. If I could jump into his mind,
if you would jump into his mind,
and I think he was voicing a similar concern that these movies are just like on a conveyor belt now. Like there's just the day before Guardians of the Galaxy came out, James Gunn tweeted that he's writing Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and that will be out in 2 years, I'm sure. Just like the previous one. So
and what's wrong with that?
It eventually, one of two things will happen. Okay? And it's already starting to, in a way. Audiences will get sick of these movies.
And then what?
Or they will just start to suffer as far as the quality goes.
And what's at stake here for you?
The continuation of the golden age of comic book movies. Because
we're in the golden age.
We're in the golden age right now, man.
But they're already going too fast. For you, it's already crashing.
No, it's not. No. We'll see what happens.
Golden age can't stay
golden.
We've got
an amazing thing with the Captain America movies. Captain America 1 was good. Captain America 2, better than 1. Captain America 3, better than 1 and 2. That's never happened before.
Guardian of the Galaxies 2, better than Guardian of the Galaxies 1.
Disagree with you completely.
Well, I disagree with you about that Captain America shit.
Have you even seen the Captain America movies?
No.
See, this is
what I told you.
See, if you had done the research over the last 10 years, like I did.
So now we know what's at stake.
I'm the guy who...
The million deaths of self.
I'm the guy who, when Avengers came out, sat in the theater and watched all 6 movies that led up to it.
What? They actually showed those 6 in a row?
Yeah, it was like I think it was like a 24-hour thing. It was rough, man.
It sounds rough.
That was before I came to as well.
Oh yeah, right. Really, yeah. A lot of pee breaks.
Boy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Damn.
A lot of I remember yelling at a woman who was laughing at the Thor movie. During one of those, I was like, "Hey, some of us are trying to watch this movie," and I had seen like 5 movies in a row. I don't know, man.
How many people sat through them all like you had?
If you did, you got a special poster.
Is this poster in this studio?
It's my buddy Dave who did that painting. He has it. I gave it to him because I met him at the midnight showing of Avengers that night because that's what they were doing. They were doing a full lead up. He was like,
"Whoa, George, man, you sat through 6 movies."
He said, "You look terrible."
That wasn't supposed to be the effect, man. I'm just leading up to the Avengers.
Let's do this.
6 movies. Oh man.
Yep.
Well, we do have. Look, folks. Get your homework done. We still owe you a life. We may get to that.
Life.
If not, I'll give you a little spoiler though. The episode for Life is just going to be called Life Sucks.
There's no
we're gonna
doubt
owe you.
about that.
We're gonna owe you Ghost in the Shell double episode. We're gonna talk about the
Ghost in the
original.
Shell.
Aliens is coming out. It's coming hot and heavy. It's going to be a big summer. Blade Runner. What else, man?
Did you see the new trailer for Blade Runner 2049?
No.
Oh man, there's this scene.
Is it Harrison Ford?
Harrison Ford comes out and there's Ryan Gosling.
He get blown out of a fridge and then get stabbed by a lightsaber.
That's good. Harrison Ford walks out and Ryan Gosling's sitting there and he's just like, it's like, I used to be a cop too. He's like, I know. So he's like, what are you doing here? And he says, I just want to ask you a couple questions. So he wants to give him the replicant test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
I was excited.
Yeah.
We'll see,
I
man.
hope that works.
I do too. I really do. And then, roundabout to Christmas, we got the next Star Wars movie.
Yeah, that might be a good podcast.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Skywalker wants to kill off all the Jedis. Way to go, Skywalker.
We didn't do the last Star Wars movie on the podcast.
Yeah. Oh, The Force Awakens?
We didn't.
No, we're not gonna. That was back when Star Wars. We didn't know Star Wars was a liability to listenership.
That's true. Yeah.
What are we gonna say? Hey, I loved it. It's cool.
Oh, I came for Sci-Fi, I saw Star Wars, so I got the hell out of there. Yeah. Nice.
What? No. It's a total space opera, man. We didn't agree on that earlier.
We did. I don't think we agreed on it. But that's what
you were the one who was saying
done.
You're the one who says Star Wars is not a space opera.
No. I think Star Wars is a space opera.
I was
more
one who says
loose.
it's not.
You said a space opera has to be a book.
Oh, totally.
Okay. Yeah. This is what we're doing now.
Right. You know what? I just looked up at the clock and I saw it. I was like, oh wait, that's the clock. Tony. What? Yeah. Well, it's you know what? It's always 8:58 in the studio.
You're in purgatory right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Space opera.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I guess, it doesn't even have to be in the comic books. You just write yourself anything you want.
Doesn't matter. James Gunn is writing it.
There's not nerd blowback. There's not blowback?
Oh, I'm sure there is, but I'm willing to bet it's pretty. It's not very vocal. You look, dude.
I think
if
the Guardians of the Galaxy is any like the 80s Guardians of the Galaxy, people are grateful this stuff was written.
You still have
You
still have nerd blowback. You still have people who don't understand why Wolverine couldn't wear his comic book outfit in any of the movies. With the big pointy thing. Like, you still have guys who are just like, I don't know why they just didn't give it a shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not one of those guys, all right? You write good stories. I don't care if Superman is being played by Will Smith. I'm showing up.
That is so big of you.